Hi everybody, this is Alex. I'm a trainer here at Omega Paws Dog Training. I want to do this quick tutorial video in case you forgot any information during our turnover. Now during the turnover there is a lot of information given to you all at once, so I'm hoping that this video can give you some type of guidance or resource that you can visit later on. So I wanted to go over this e-collar. I do have an attached video on top of the blog that goes over all the safety mechanisms of the e-collar, but for now I'm going to keep it very simple. So what this is your communication tool moving forward. When I ask Creed to sit, the first one's a free one. If he doesn't follow through afterwards, I'm going to pair the second sit with a stimulation. If I have to repeat myself by the third time, I'm going to raise the stimulation one more time and I'm going to say the cue one more time. What I don't want to do is repeat myself over and over and just gonna say, Creed, sit, 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 sit. That's going to lose value in the words that I'm saying. So what I'm gonna say is Creed, sit, pair it with a stimulation. That doesn't listen, Creed, sit, and pair that with a stimulation. Now, right now he's in the down position. Getting them from the down to the sit is pretty hard. But you'll get the gist as I kind of explain it. So I guess the first cue we'll go over is going to be our come to sit cue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say his name first to make sure that he's paying attention to me. I'm going to pair the gesture with the command, and I'm going to pair it this way. So I'll say, Creed, come. So the first one's a free one. The second one I'm going to pair with stimulation. Creed, come, come. Come. So if he doesn't listen, what we're going to do is grab the leash, hold on to some tension, come. Sit. Good job, buddy. So it looked like he needed a little bit of help and guidance there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch hands. I'm going to say, Creed, come. Sit. So there. I paired the stimulation when he broke the sit cue and he laid down. So there's only two ways for him to get out of a sit cue. So sit means sit. So right there, I said and I continued to click. So what happened there is that he laid down in the middle of a sit cue. When we are in a sit cue, sit means sit. Doesn't mean anything but that. If I say come, there's two in one, right? It's the come, So I'm constantly stimulating, right? You didn't see him cry or flinch or any of that, but I'm holding him accountable. So back to this come to sit. When I tell him to come, it's one cue, and then I want him to sit, so it's a 2-in-1 cue. So once he's on this side, sit. So once he comes around me and sits onto my left side, now he is in the sit cue. Sit means sit. Doesn't mean sit over there, sit over there. Sit means sit where I asked you to sit, right? He kept trying to break a couple of times, trying to go to place, but we're not on the place cue, we are on the sit cue. Right, buddy? Yes. There's only two ways that he's gonna get out of the sit cue. Me, I say break and I release him, or two, I put him into another cue, which could have been place, which could be down, but for now, sit means sit. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is I am going to test him. When it comes to dog training, there is nothing wrong with failure. So you saw me lift my hand, that's when I immediately started clicking. So my point is that there's nothing wrong with failure, there's nothing wrong with him messing up. When he messes up though, I wanna be there to coach him. I wanna be there to guide him. I'm there to hold him accountable to what it is that I asked him. Because again, there's no getting out of the sit cue until I release him from the sit cue. So I'm just going to challenge him as much as I can, try to anticipate him messing up, and the moment he does, I'm gonna guide him. So when we're doing dog training, we are using motivation and obligation. Motivation is the praise, the treats, the love. The obligation is the eat, sit, there you go. The obligation, is the e-collar. Me physically prompting him up to the sit. Me standing in front of him, obligating him to follow through on the sit cue. When I combine motivation and obligation, that is how I get reliability. Right now he's not being very reliable, so we just have to keep practicing with him. He's a very smart dog, but if he can get away with something, he definitely will. Good job, buddy, good job. So I'm gonna keep just walking around him, try to get him to mess up. And he's looking at that bed because he's tempted to go on there. He finds that bed cozy, but again, he's in the sit cue. All right, so we're gonna practice our come to sit one more time. Creed, come. Come. Sit. Good, Good job, buddy. So the reason why we want him to come and loop around us is because I want his ears parallel with mine, feet parallel with my hip. So that means he's gonna be ready for the heel. Now, for him particularly, the come to sit is always a little bit off. He just wants to come and then kind of lay down, but it's not a come to down, it's a come to sit. So you want to be mindful of that. He knows how to loop around you, but sometimes he tries to come straight to your front. Now be mindful. When we train our dogs, we train them on what's called lure training. Lure training is when they follow our hands because of the treats. So if I say to come and I just do this, what's gonna happen is that he's gonna stop right in front of my hand, meaning he's stopping where he associates the treat being. So here I have a couple of treats. This is what I mean by lure training. So lure training is break, is where they follow the treat. Over here. Over here. Come in. Come in. Over here, buddy. So this is lure training. So if I tell him come and I stop right here, he's stopping because he's associated the treat being there. So we're gonna give him a free one. I'm gonna show you how we initially teach him how to do the come to sit. So I keep the treat on my left hand. Sit. I keep the leash on. And then when I say come, I'm gonna pull. And then by this side, I'm going to lure him with the treat. So I'm gonna say, come, here, sit. So now we get a perfect come to sit. The reason why we do that is because we want him to follow our hands. So sometimes he associates the treat being in front of our hand. That's why he stops right in front of us. Sit. All right, again, sit means sit. So when it comes to this come to sit cue, I do want you guys to practice that a little bit more. Practice it with treats if you want. There's nothing wrong with using treats. Perfect. So I continue to give him the stimulation up until the point where he sat. And then once he sat, the stimulation ended. So it's his job to turn on the stimulation. He turns it on by breaking the cue, and he turns it off by following through on the cue. Sorry, I misspoke. His job is to understand how to turn off the stimulation. All right, so our next cue is gonna be place. Create, place. All right, so when he goes on place, he's allowed to either sit or lay down unless I give him the command. So he's allowed to chew on toys, play, do whatever it is that he wants. However, if I say create place and I ask him to down, now he's on the down cue. He's not allowed to chew on stuff, he's not allowed to get off, he's not allowed to sit. He has to stay on the down cue, right? We hold him accountable to the cue that we asked him to be in. Good job, buddy. All right, Creed, come in. Sit. Yes, good job. So it always takes a little bit of warming up, but he knows exactly how to do the come to sit. So our come to sit, the reason why we have it this way, his ears are parallel to my hip, feet parallel with mine, is because now he is ready for the heel. The heel is going to be extremely important. If there is any cue that you are going to be working on, it's going to be the heel. The heel means that he's walking right by my side. He's sharing the experience of a walk, but he's respecting me, he's acknowledging me. So this is going to be indicative of your relationship. If he is not treating you well on the heel, he's not going to treat you well at home. At the end of the day, we are the parents, he is the child. He has to respect us as parents. So there's certain things that we need respected, right, for his safety. So I'm going to say, Creed, heel. Good job. Heel. So he's allowed to walk right by my side, but he's not allowed to sniff, he's not allowed to pee, he's not allowed to poop. The moment he does, I'm going to give him a stimulation. Now, when you're practicing on a weekly basis, you're not going to be walking in a straight line. You're going to be turning left. You're going to be turning right. You're going to be doing all of these different angles because you want them to expect the unexpected. This is how we get them to have their head right next to our hip, glancing at us every so often. Good job, buddy. And every now and then, you're going to give him praise, love. Good job, buddy. You're doing so good, buds. Good job. Yes. Yes, go, man. So nothing wrong with giving praise. Give him praise all day long. He deserves it. To get a dog to be able to focus for this long is incredibly difficult. It is not easy. Sit. Good job. Now there is going to be an automatic sit when you are healing with him. As soon as you stop, you want him to stop with you. That just means that he's staying focused on you and he's acknowledging you, right? So he needs to stay focused on you. You can look at other things, but he has to know what your body language is doing. So you're not allowed to break the sit. I preemptively tell him That doesn't mean I gave him the stimulation. I give him the stimulation only when he breaks. If he's thinking about it though, I'm giving him kind of that warning shot. Part of training with your dog is learning to understand when your dog is going to break cues. All right, So I see, So I was constantly tapping that shoulder up until the point where he sat back there. Just because I'm sitting doesn't mean he can lay down. He has to stay on the sit cue. So you might not be very comfortable doing this, right? At home, you might be, mid-bite, but if you have him sitting, you have to hold him accountable. If there's battles to be won, if he knows that he can get away from obedience and he can walk all over certain people, he'll learn who he can take advantage of and who he can't. Creed, break. It's a command. Good job. All right. So on break, he's allowed to do whatever it is that he wants, except break rules, right? So he's not allowed to jump on me. Sit. If he wants love, we can do that, but he's not allowed to jump on me. He's not, off. He's not allowed on my couches. He can be on your couches if that's okay. And if he wants to lay down and be a good companion, he's allowed to do that as well. But there's gonna be certain rules that he can't break just because he's on a break cue. He can't pee inside the house. He can't poop. He can't chew on furniture. The moment he does, we give an immediate correction, right? We say off, right? When I give an immediate correction, I'm talking about a 30, maybe a 40. I don't want bad behavior to be fun. When he is doing bad behavior, sometimes it means that it's fun for them, right? So a lot of dogs enjoy chewing on furniture. It's not fun for us because it's expensive to fix, but for them it might be fun. So when he's chewing on furniture, we're gonna make that association no longer fun. We're gonna make it a negative experience. So we give it a negative experience by raising this to a 30 or 40 every single time he puts his mouth on furniture. Now he doesn't chew on that, so you might not need to worry about that. But maybe one day he might try to eat food off the table or hop on the counter. He does tend to kind of go up and look at the counter, so we just let him know that's not okay. And he's not allowed to jump on people. Every now and then he'll try to kind of gallop on you and give you affection, but that's not good behavior. He could scratch you, so we don't allow that. So a couple of other things that we cover is manners. So right before going through a door, before he's eating food, before he goes through into the car, and before he greets people, we want him to sit. Now, when I'm talking about greeting manners, over here, buddy, heel, sit, is if someone's like, can I pet your dog? Yes, you can, but he's in training. Always advocate for your dog, let them know he's in training. Say, he has to sit first. As long as he's seated, you can pet him. The moment that he stops being seated, you can no longer pet him. A lot of the times you tell that to people and they keep petting when they break and I interrupt. I get in there and I tell him, no, he got off the sit. So very important that we advocate for our dogs because people pay a lot of good money for training. You don't want to squander it thinking that he can just jump on whoever he wants because we reinforce that behavior. We do not want to reinforce bad manners. And bad manners might not seem like a big deal because he's getting up and getting excited, but he's getting excited. The next step after that is jumping on people. So you want to be very mindful. Coming home from work. If he is super excited, you're gonna have to ignore him until he relaxes, until he is this demeanor. Or, a little bit sillier is okay, but you want to really avoid him jumping. Good job, buds. So he's in a sit cue. Sit. Down. So I understand that he might be a little bit tired, so I can get him onto the down cue on my terms. So if I know that he's tired, I'll ask him to sit, meaning I'm holding him accountable, and then I put him on the down cue. And I think that just about covers it. If you have any other questions, concerns, or comments, feel free to give me a call. And again, thank you for letting me be Creed's dog trainer.